it's a fun bad movie to pick apart.
Honestly, we're not up yet, are we, kids?
What?
Are we up or are we on the thing?
Up on what? What are you talking about? I thought we were having
We're
a
on the
private
future.
conversation.
We're on the future train
I was
to
about
go
to
to the
start
future
talking about
space
all the
station.
genocide.
Wait.
To get on the future plane that's a future shuttle to go to the future world, while everyone else goes to the stupid West world, medieval world. What was the other one? Fantasy.
Forever
space-
World. Like the
Space
one where
World
you
was
get
the
to like
worst.
fucking be forever young.
Space
Big
World
skinny-
was the worst one. Like the guy said
Futureworld.
it. The guy said it like best himself. Not Space World, but like Space Shuttle World, where he's just like, "This is
Yeah, no, that was
vacation."
so lame.
That's
Why?
Future World. The lamest world
Oh,
is
is that
the name
Future
of this
World?
movie. Yeah, that was Future World.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
honestly,
that's-
like, the weird thing about, like, because, like, Westworld is, like, themed, you know? Like, there's cowboys, there's rules, you know? Future World, in this context, is like, oh, there's just, like, better technology, but you do exactly the same shit.
See,
Oh,
the
we're
reason
skiing,
the
but
reason
it's
I didn't
red.
know that was Future World was because that's basically present world. Because we've been to the moon allegedly.
Yeah, and they weren't even
So it's
wearing,
like,
like, cool space shit, you know? They, like, fucking, like, they weren't even, like, super
Yeah.
advanced. It's just, like, it's a little, like, fucking small-minded
They
future.
went skiing on Mars, remember? Remember when they put, like, the heavy red filter on and they just went skiing?
Yeah, and they were just skiing, though. Like, it's
No.
like fucking, this is no different. There's no, like, anti-gravity thing. There's
No
nothing, like,
sick jumps with slow-mo to,
No.
like, show it off or anything?
They
No,
could
it's
have
just
at
they were
least
just
like
skiing.
had them like floating ET style through the air or something like that. Have a
Or-
nice shot and get the picture. But no, that nothing
Or
about it looked
or-
cool.
I like
the boxing game.
Yeah, no, the Wii boxing with real guys. I liked that. That was okay.
Yeah.
But either way, though, at the end of the day, that's all future as a theme is. It's just whatever shit I come up with. There's no like that. That's why Westworld and fucking Roman World and all those other worlds would be cooler because there's known rules that you have to follow.
Here's the thing. And I think I figured it out after like my second watch of like why it was like that. Why even have future worlds? Because you go to medieval world, right? And it's you have this what was it, the Japanese ambassador or whatever, and he goes there to
guy
just
from
be a
Eastworld.
Westerner.
He's from
Yeah, he goes to
Eastworld.
medieval. He's from Eastworld. Yeah, he's from the.
They said that in the movie too. I'm pretty sure.
Rising Sun World.
Eastworld.
Eastworld, but he goes there to be a Westerner, to pretend to be a knight and to defend Japan's honor. Makes total sense. Whatever. The Russian general goes to the Eden world to be young with his wife and to do whatever. And then it's Westworld. You know, that was the last movie. They don't look at that one too much. You know what you
They
go to
they go
Futureworld
there
for?
like later on just to like investigate the fact that it's all.
Oh yeah. To look at like the bad
And
guy.
the
from the first
Westworld
one.
really went south.
Bang. But you know why you go to Future World? And they say it. The guy says it. The game winner. The guy who wins the game in the beginning. He says it. You go to Future World to fuck robots.
Oh right, yeah.
But
no,
you can go to
forgot
every
about
All you
world
do.
to fuck
that.
robots.
Yeah, you can do that.
I guess
at
there's
your
a better
own-
one.
At fucking what's it called? DeSantis? What's the company called?
Delos.
Yeah.
Delos.
Delos.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, I mean they were gonna do. They were saying that on the way to like Pompeii World or whatever that
gotta
was.
fuck
They were like,
You gotta
if your
fuck
every desire, anything that you want to do, you can do it. And it's like they're all
It was
dressed
only-
up
Yeah.
as like Pompeii like warriors.
Yeah,
or
no, and
something.
if you're gonna do like a Roman thing, like there's gotta be more orgies in Future World. Like there's gotta be
Super
more
loose.
orgies.
Super loose with a lot of it. The only time the robots talked about sex was with that character though too for some reason.
Yeah,
like
they didn't bring out a robot sex scene. Like they didn't do it. This was one thing that was like really I expected more of was like the Peter Fonda and whatever her name was characters like having like drama between them about if they know whether they're the real one or not. Like they just have that one kiss moment and that's it. And I was really expecting there to be more because they could have had like I don't know. There could have been a lot more of the movie that could have dealt with that.
It was
Yeah,
interesting.
well, there was the ending line was like meant to be like just pretend, just think it's cool and then don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's like what did he say? He said something along the lines of like some things you just know, baby. Or
Yeah,
something.
and it's like, I guess.
Super, yeah. It's like, well, and that's like any controversy around that would have been perfect. Like they set up as like he fired her because she was bad at her job. She was a bad reporter for the newspaper, so she went to the less prestigious newsroom instead. And and she's like, well, oh, you're still here, but like immediately it's no bad blood. We're done. It's like I forgive you. Actually, oh, we're friends again. It's okay. We're not competitors anymore. Even though I was so mad, I almost got up and left like this exclusive interview because I saw you show up.
And just like good reporters, like any good reporters, they get the innocent bystander guy that gave them all the information killed, and they don't have a second thought about it. They don't say anything, or like say there's not even a throwaway line about like, oh, he was a good man or something like that. I'm pretty sure they said nothing, and I was like, oh, that guy was the best character in the movie.
Didn't even stop. They didn't even stop to acknowledge his death. They just kept going.
Yeah. It's like, fuck you guys.
the robot, the Superman who used to get tossed in the orgies in the Clark. Yeah. Clark, his faceless robot showed more human emotion at the loss of his friend than these two main characters.
These guys
honestly,
they were kind of assholes.
Probably mainly because of the characterization of the main characters. Yeah. But I don't know. I never got into this movie. Like I did not enjoy this movie at all. Like I was trying to. I liked a lot of like the ideas, but the ideas I liked are just things that I already knew existed in like the Westworld-averse.
It's the perfect 70s movie. It's an unnecessary sequel that expands on nothing, and it actually makes everything worse.
How is that the perfect 70s movie, Brant? There's lots of good movies from the 70s, yeah.
Sure, but like how many good second like sequels or like trilogies are there from the 70s? How many of them are just like shameless cash grabs and bloated productions like this with thousands of shitty sets and all these moving parts and background people?
I'll give you that because I understand what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking science fiction though? Because the 70s was a great time for really nice.
Yeah, that was like the bananas. That's why I'm saying I'll give
okay.
Like, I'm kind of thinking about this in like the genre of like science. Like you got Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
Star Wars, and Aliens.
Was Mars Attacks the 70s? No, that was
that's 90s.
That was later. It's like 90s, yeah. Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks, not Star Wars.
No, Mars Attacks was a fucking like, isn't that like 90s. A parody of the 70s movies?
Yeah, well, it's a parody of 50s movies. But
50s movies, yeah.
Was Dune? Was that like was
David
that
was
Lynch's?
70s. That was 70s.
Okay, you got me. A lot of good
there's
stuff.
Also
I think Dune was very early 80s, like Hangover.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
It started production.
Well, there's also like there's like the Parallax View with Warren Beatty. And that one, like, it's like a super downer. And then there's, like, I'm pretty sure, like, the Andromeda Strain is another one that came out. And I think that was also Michael Crichton.
Well, and then there's, like, especially, like, I think what Brant is, like, kind of talking about is, like, the whole, like, fucking B-movie thing that existed back at that time.
But I don't think this movie is in that kind of... I mean, it's kind of in that
No,
realm,
it's not. This was an actually successful movie. Westworld was an actually successful movie.
I guess where I disagree, Brant, is, like, I'm putting this in more with, like, kind of like... The science fiction movies in the 70s that were kind of like dark, and I was expecting this one to have a much darker ending if it was going to be in that grade, but it still felt like
a Flash Gordon type thing was going to start happening.
No, like just like have it like a lot of these movies have a really nihilistic ending where all the characters either die or become like.
Oh, well, that's why I love it because it's got this feeling of like. Okay, well they're building up to something and I have to, and then they never do. And in fact, it's so campy and so silly at the end that like any tension that could have ever been like built is gone. As
I did not like the end.
Leaps away as he runs away from the facility and looks up to see the lead scientist who's like literally going like, "Oh, you!"
Yeah.
He's like, I gotcha.
Yeah, he just gives him like the bird, and it's like, oh my god, like it was such a retarded ending. Yeah.
It undercuts it all. It's like it's like Chris Pratt in a Marvel movie. Just fucking.
Yeah. And like I said, like I'm all the while I still am feeling bad for poor like Harry. I'm pretty sure I think that's what his name was. Poor Harry and his robot.
I'll be back, Clark.
I'll
be back. Don't you worry, buddy.
Yeah, his recently orphaned robot, Clark the orphan, now is just waiting forever for his owner, and you're like, that's fucked. And these people are just like riding off into the sunset. I'm like, fuck off.
We killed our twins. We killed our twins in the stupidest action sequence ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. Yeah, I think this movie would have been better if it had taken itself just a little bit more seriously and not and just just had a little bit more restraint. Honestly, it needed more restraint for me.
And honestly, just like with like certain like parts of like the plot advancing, because like honestly, the most interesting elements of the movie is like shit that's in Westworld, shit that's in this universe. It's just like shit about like fucking the humanity of the robots and all that sort of
Does
shit. Like
Westworld
that's
ever
all.
have
Those
the
are themes from
politician
the
thing?
other movie, but this didn't really advance anything. It just put it in like fucking this bullshit, stupid future area. Like,
So,
it was very
You
superfluous.
said yeah, Brant. Like
Governor or
Westworld has
something.
has like does Westworld ever have the thing where it's like they're replacing politicians with robots?
I think
Is
those
that
were
Yeah,
just like
at least in the
really?
show, I haven't seen the movie as I said, but in the
Okay.
show, like that's a thing that's no, it's a thing I've seen. I don't know, and I guess you can't really hold a movie like this to that extent. Like, I don't know. I guess we just gotta like acknowledge that we're reviewing this from the perspective of people who haven't seen the original Westworld.
Nope.
even better.
Yeah. I mean,
But I at least read the Wikipedia plot, and I would have watched the movie if it was on Amazon Prime.
they
So.
basically explained what happened in the last movie. Like they
Yeah,
show
they did
footage
pretty
from
good.
the movie, right? I'm guessing that was footage from the original. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Mine-
The weirdest thing that I think that was a hang up on this, especially, I noticed towards the end with like the twins showing up is why did they make the robots the exact same? Why were they also as equally shitty as the people they made them?
that was
Why
funny.
would
Because
Yeah.
they weren't they built off of their like actual fucking genetics?
Yeah.
yeah something like
But-
and all their history and all their memories were there because
They're
like he
giving
even
them
said
their
like remember
faults. They're giving them
remember
their
boot
faults
camp?
also. That was
we
the
could
funny
we
part.
couldn't hit a barn from 5 feet away. We were such bad shots.
Yeah.
And there's why would you?
Don't
especially
forget
if you
we're
make the
afraid of
robots.
heights. Yeah, no, I thought that was kind of funny. I mean, okay, so think about it like this though, Brant. No, think about it like this.
Built them to kill him.
You're making your
He built
clone.
them to kill him.
You're making a clone off of like what they basically did a data dump of like their brain. They're not going to spend the time to individually go in and take out the parts that aren't going to work with what they want and blah 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 blah. They're just they're baking that cake
Just
and they're just
copy
hoping
paste.
all the ingredients work and
Because
they're
you can't
replacing the
like,
person.
and also like that's at least like some semi-believable science fiction shit too. Is like because it would be incredibly difficult to believe that they could just like easily go in and just clip shit off. But just the idea that like you can just take the anatomy of a being and just copy paste it—that's a little bit more believable.
Yeah.
Ah,
I'll take it.
Sure.
I'll take it.
we'll give them
honestly.
leeway. We'll give them some leeway. Fine, sure, fine. Still, very stupid. All of it. Another fun thing, I guess, about this movie is this is just essentially watching what is Disney World in real life, but with the concept of, the slave labor is robots instead.
Oh, and then the last disaster killed almost 150 people, but people are still going to show up apparently.
I
It's
love
like-
it. It's so
Well,
cool.
yeah,
I thought that
because
was
you get
great.
to go there and fuck whores from the fucking 1820s. Like it's dope. Like,
Yeah,
before soap
wouldn't you do
was
that?
really-
Why
Well,
wouldn't you do
Dwayne,
that?
how long
If this
would you go
existed,
to
I would
opening
do it
day
today.
though? Would you be going to opening day of the theme park that killed 150 people like 3 years ago?
If I could afford it, no, not me. I guess no, not the opening day. But
Yeah.
then some people would. So like Russian
Yeah, yeah.
generals, I could see
People
Putin
like-
going in there, dick
A
out.
couple.
Putin can
Oh,
get
come-
that shit whenever he wants. He can get real people
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
cosplay. Why the fuck has he got to? And plus, like robots, I don't know. Maybe there's stuff. I mean, like they can gyrate and they can do all that kind of stuff, but they better have some really good technology if it's actually gonna be like comfortable. You know, like I don't know. It still
Where's the
seems.
face in any of them? Like when they take the face off, like
Yeah,
it's all 70s tech. Like
Yeah, no, that's what I
the repair room, right? And then they have the horse that's opened up,
Yeah.
and just like 4 motherboards soldered together.
yeah. It
and
looks very
stapled.
stiff. It looks like it would be very stiff. So I mean, I don't know what kind
Why
of
were all the
gelatinous
robots off?
goo they
You know,
got
like
on.
they're being worked on, and they're looking at it, and it's like weird. Turn them off. Also, yeah, you cut them open, and it's like there's no joints. It's all just like weird panel boards and servos.
So, what happened with the ninja or the samurai robots? Did they create those robots and then they came out with like a need to kill immediately? What was going on there?
That was
important.
the reporters
I don't know why it
stumbling into that was the first batch of clones that they got from the guys from Eastworld, and I guess they were like trying to make stuff from his lineage. I think was like the point. Like they were trying to like make his Tojo clan like samurais, and they took his sword to do that too. That's why he
Okay.
couldn't get his sword back. And yeah, they were just like ready to kill, I guess, and because they were just like bloodthirsty Eastern samurai warriors. And as soon as they saw
Okay.
the white devil in front of them, they're like, ah!
I didn't get that because I thought like they were themed. I thought they were like for like they were like the cowboys in Westworld basically. So I didn't understand why they were just coming out with like the need to kill immediately. But
It was
they were just
it's
like
Little
old
World.
mine basically.
The new opening because it is there's only so many, so they're like, we're expanding into Little World. Go to Japan days before the Fat Man nuke drops on Hiroshima.
Yeah.
See
Dude,
the
honestly,
sights.
that would probably be the dopest time to be alive. Like, in between the nukes, like when half the shit's blown up and everyone else is just like, all right, the government's not giving up, let's fuck. And then just just that's got to be a good time, honestly. It would be like Majora's Mask, and you can go back every couple of days.
As you leave,
Yeah.
you go like watch the nuke get dropped.
And then if
Yeah.
you're really into survival shit, then you can be in like one of the few people that was in a bunker. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
you
come
can go
out.
to,
You
like,
can come out in the
bank vault or
aftermath
something, yeah.
and then just like shoot reptilian like mutants and
Yeah,
stuff
no,
like that.
it's got
So,
branching paths.
Boom.
That's a great idea.
Delta
what are you
sucks.
interested in? The before or the after? You know.
These guys are no Imagineers at all. This is the entire like world, all the stupid fucking medieval world, future world, West world, the world.
They're very face level. Like they're not it doesn't go into the actual like fucking like crazy like interesting.
Which is funny because there's so much effort put into it. It's treated.
I know
Every
they got,
single
like,
aspect is like a NASA.
They made Cylons for this shit.
Yeah. Like
sets, hundreds of sets were built for this movie.
Yeah.
Thousands of people on payroll because every robot's a person. Everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a lot of them aren't even background. A lot of them like have acting or like these speak roles or like at least like stage movement. There's a lot happening. This
so
was
what
a
is the
humongous
budget?
movie.
What was the budget of this
What
movie?
was the budget?
Box office was 4.2 million. Which isn't actually that much.
What was the budget?
2.5.
Oh, I made it back.
So it was like
70s money.
In 70s money, that was probably like 40 and like $70 million.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Also, like it's gotten worse in like the past like year, so like
It's actually probably like now.
I don't even know how to estimate it anymore. Like I just fucking pick a bigger number.
It's worse.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's much worse now. I'm assuming.
It's
think
a
it's a
ton
lot
of
worse.
effort for a pretty meh movie, and they must have seen that it's a pretty meh movie even for the time. It's a meh movie.
Yeah. It's
It's
meh
Future world.
It's meh world.
Future world. It's
Mad
should
world.
call
Big
it.
mad world. Yeah,
Mad
I'm
world.
all about that.
dregs. Like I said, it's got a lot of points of like
Whoa.
the woman's always wrong, the man's always right, and every scene is just that truth being like cemented, and then something happens that makes you move on to the next scene.
Which I mean is honestly somewhat refreshing, Brand, because nowadays all the movies of this high budget ilk are the man is retarded in every instance, and the man is always wrong. And if the man is going to do something of use, then
Well,
it is because
the
the
woman's
woman.
Fine vintage.
The
The
all
woman
right
still
way.
had like she wasn't presented as like retarded or anything at least. Like she
Is that
still
the
had a
patriarchy
she had a purpose to serve a little bit. I was just a little surprised actually. The original Westworld.
No, yeah, I agree with you there, Katz. Like, she actually did have more purpose than Brand is building her up to be.
Yeah.
But she was very much like the butt of, like, well, I have a male intellect.
Yeah, but also I will say, whether it was intentional or not, the guy is also retarded too. He makes so many fucking mistakes all the time.
He's
Yeah,
blind.
I just felt like at a certain point, I think that just was movie. You know,
He has
that
no
was
perception. He has
movie logic bullshit.
Yeah, like
Idiots making it.
I don't know.
Not they were idiots, but you know what I
The
He
mean.
just
first
fucks
act
up at
is-
every turn.
No, because after the first act, he cannot help but fuck up everything he does. But the entire first act is building him up to be like this almost Sherlock Holmes guy. Like even him walking through the newspaper print, right? He's got like all this stuff going on. He's talking to all these people. He's like doing all this stuff. He's even putting bets on things. He gets to the convention. He's making like friends with people. He's being charismatic. He's noticing things like, oh, all these operators are robots. See, because that's why you can't flirt with them.
Yeah.
He's so perceptive and he's so knowledgeable and he's so in the moment. And then the second act hits and he's retarded. He
Yeah.
cannot do anything.
It's kind of true. Yeah,
What
he was
the
much
whole
more.
thing?
He was at the beginning. His character was very like cemented in the boiled, like reporter that's going out to get the story at all costs.
Yeah,
And then
which
he
in
kind of loses
itself
that.
was a pretty like bland like setup for a character, but like after the first act, it just really just became he just devolved into being like plot device writing guy.
What this movie needed from his character was like, have you guys seen what's that Ryan Gosling movie? Nice Guys. You guys ever seen that?
Yeah,
He needed to be like the
Shane
Ryan Gosling.
Black.
He needed to be the Ryan Gosling character in that movie, like a super inept and bumbling, or just any
Yeah,
kind of
inept
movie like
and
that.
just jaded and
something.
just fucking, but thinking he's cool as shit.
Yeah, because you could have
Yeah,
had a
no,
lot
just
more
give
calls.
it a sense of humor. If that's actually that's a good idea because fucking like that's the place where you want the sense of humor because like this fucking like campiness that fucking undercuts all the interesting philosophical ideas of all these fucking like beings being created to run a fucking
Yeah.
Disney World.
Not touched on, not even looked at at all.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
true. And then like the
Could've
behind the
had, like-
scenes stuff. Yeah.
Could have had a whole like, oh, we got to be like really extra careful, guys, because they'll shut us down like the slightest improvisation. Like that whole scene with the knight fighting the Japanese guy. That could have been like afterwards, like they get up and like, are you all right? Are you okay? You did good. You did great. They're not going to decommission you. Something, but no, it's no. You know what I thought too on my first watch through was that the reporter, whatever the hell our main guy's name is, right? I was like, he's a robot. They already replaced him. That has to be it. Like after the first act, they
Shock.
did the Futureworld, and they got him like the first day. That's what I thought the twist was going to be like. And then the second one shows up. It's like, oh, he's actually the real one, And they're
Nothing,
No. Yeah.
Brant, nothing in the world can ruin a movie like thinking of a better ending before you see the ending.
infinitely better. So
Yeah,
I-
that's fair.
just I had like a migraine when I saw him doodle his way out the complex without a single person trying to stop him.
I had multiple endings in my mind. I kept changing it as time went on because I had like one ending after the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then it kept going, and I have another one, and then it finally came to the duplicate thing where I was like, oh, I was fairly certain because it being a 70s movie, I was like, they're not gonna know. It's gonna end, and it's gonna be ambiguous about whether or not they're the real ones. I thought it was gonna be ambiguous, and they look at each other and go, "Oh."
Yeah,
Something
no,
like
but it
that?
was just like,
No.
but we 70s kissed at one point.
Yeah.
So.
I was like, no, and then
Right.
it goes full on just like fucking schlock, and not in a good way, honestly. Like it was just kind of bullshit.
could have like one thing. Could have been like you could always tell it's an android by like doing something, like even making them so simple as like being magnetic slightly or some shit. But no, nothing's explored. Nothing is done. This is
Yeah.
a beautiful classical 70s movie where it's just
Stop
they
saying
just
that. They're
dumped
good.
money
70s
into it. It's a
movies are
classical
good, Brant.
70s
Yeah, no, there are
theme.
good 70s movies. Well, all right, maybe we
Classical
shouldn't say
B.
70s movies and we should just say 70s.
This is
We're
a
talking
classical
about
B.
we're talking about an
Okay.
ethos of an era, not like a quality of films. At the
We
time.
agree on that.
Okay.
Classical B movie. This is a classical B movie architecture. Architecture.
Yeah,
But this
think of
also
other-
wasn't a B movie, which is what fucks that up too. Like, there's no like, we're just kind of fucked up like category.
Yeah, it was. It
This
was
is just
doubly
future.
expensive. It was twice as much as the original Westworld, and it made
It's like-
like a tenth of the
Which is
of,
a
like, the
fucking
box office.
shame because it just I would have rather just seen more West. Like Westworld was West. It's just it's a more interesting premise.
I wanted, to,
'Cause-
I still want to see Westworld just because Michael Crichton wrote and directed it, which is interesting. So.
Futureworld is like a good diner chef got caught by like a Michelin star chef, and he gets moved up, And the first movie is him at the diner. He's making the good stuff, and everyone loves it. It's simple, it's easy, And then he gets into this big kitchen with all this shit going on and all this extra money, and he makes pretty much the exact same thing, but without any of the usual touch of love to it. It's all sterile. And the guy that came to the new restaurant, who knew him from the diner, it's like, this is fine. This is okay. It's I like it enough.
Brand, this
It's
is a
familiar.
terrible metaphor.
It's off.
I
Just
get what
like
you're saying, I
Because I'm
guess.
sorry,
like
but
this
it's just
movie,
like
it's-
so the first and second movies were made and directed by different people is part of it. So like that doesn't really work with your diners, and also like it's
The story.
like,
The chef is the story. The chef is
Yeah,
the world.
I think it doesn't matter who wrote it, but
the new director.
they were still
is the
they
new
still did not
kitchen.
live up to their catering abilities from
It was fine.
the previous movie.
If you like this sort of thing, it's nice. If you want a good movie, this is not it. This is dumb and boring and frustrating.
yeah.
But not
I guess
terrible.
I guess watch Westworld instead. I don't know. None of us.
I'd say watch Westworld instead, but this is
none of us have seen it though.
No.
to pick it apart. It's a
We're
fine.
assuming watch Westworld instead.
I would
I'd
think
say.
that Westworld would be good if like it spawned a sequel and like a TV series 40 years later. I would imagine it's got to have something worthwhile in it. So
Check it out. Don't watch this one. Well, maybe watch this one and then check out that one.
Watch
Whichever way you wanna do
Westworld
it.
first, and then if you don't like it, you'll probably hate Futureworld. Honestly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and that's probably a good. But if you love Westworld, then you might find Futureworld
Might be
okay.
worth watching.
Charming.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
quaint.
yeah, you might find it to take place in the same universe as Westworld.
If you're someone who deals with, if you're a DC fanboy, this is right up your alley. Then yeah, if you like any superhero movie, congrats. This is the multiverse now. It's part of the same IP, but it's not as good. You'll eat it up, enjoy it, eat your shit out of the trough. Hey, you guys got anything else to talk about with Futureworld?
No.
There was never anything to talk about Futureworld.
No, there wasn't.
Shame we spent this
You don't
much
like the
talking
shooting
about it.
scene, or how the way he rappels down? What about when he puts the
I don't care about any of it. There were a
The
lot of
electrical
nice
blocks.
little visual moments, a lot of nice little kind of set pieces, but
Yeah.
the story was boring. The fucking world was much less interesting than the actual premise that it inherited was. It was just kind of lame.
I think
give a
my
shit.
favorite scene in Futureworld was when they were all curving out and looking at her sex dreams, and at the very end, nobody said there's no mention of oh, that was kind of weird. He was just that was pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, when
right?
she's
And
in the device.
Like
she's in the device in the future.
Yeah.
World.
I thought
Yeah.
that was that was another scene they could have done a whole lot more with, and they didn't. But it was still kind of interesting. That was a good example, the best example of something that could have been a lot better, I guess.
All the
Nah,
stuff
I
in the
wouldn't say
trailer.
the best because there's a lot of that in here.
I thought it
Just
was
just
interesting,
everything with Clark, there's a lot of it.
Just
Yeah,
seeing
of course.
that kind of cellular restructuring of somebody's thoughts, I thought was kind of interesting. I can't
I also liked the way they kind of did that sort of shit with her strapped to the table and the blood going up the thing, and there was a music box thing
Yeah.
rolling. That was brilliant.
No, that was
I liked
interesting.
that was brilliant.
It's got cool enough stuff. It's everything
That's
that
certain points, but honestly, I think a big amount of the cool enough stuff was just the fact that it was more expensive than the first movie, even.
stupid.
And they just hired cool people to come up with cool
The
ways
set
to
design was
visualize
great.
shit script.
I didn't think the cinematography was that great though. The shots
No.
were
It
composed
had
all
some
right.
cool shots.
Yeah,
some
but
cool
the lighting
ideas.
was I didn't. What did you think? I'm not an expert, but what did you think of the lighting? I thought it kind
Neither
of.
am I, but I get what you mean. It's got some nice lighting to it, but it's also got some points that are kind of weirdly fucking not as fucking
It's
fleshed
just really
out.
ugly.
Also though,
It's-
Kat, just as long as we're talking about weird nerd shit, let's talk about something we actually do understand. And I think it was so strange to me, and just is I don't know, I can't even say it's a negative because it was a different time. But the opening sequence where they do with the titles and they're going in the eyeballs and they're fucking fading in and out and shit. There's frame jutters. There's fucking obvious stall frames right
Yeah.
before the cut. It's
Yeah.
shit that would be considered fucking unreleasable now. It was
Yeah.
just what you could do back in the 70s.
No, I know that was ridiculous. It's you couldn't just get a 1 minute shot of an eyeball.
Yeah, I know. Fucking goddamn that. It's so weird because it's just a different way to look because it was such a cool shot. But they just couldn't you just hold it fucking fade a little bit more on this. But I know they're using actual film. It was a different time. And at the end there's just fucking they had one frame of the actor's full face, and they just
It
fucking
must have been a last second or
True.
your intern or first year guy is hey, you gotta edit some of this film, bud, and they cut it. It's
yeah,
the
but
opening
for
sequence.
a final cut though, for a final cut. You know, like fucking, like you can't like the. It's just it's interesting because that was just a thing you could get away with back then because I guess people just weren't as like obvious to notice it then.
A lot of
Now
it's
we're like
that.
now we're very like anal about like picking up on certain things, and they're probably gonna be even more anal as time goes on.
Yeah, but
as
also,
it,
Dwayne, we shoot movies on iPhones nowadays, and we put up with a lot of other garbage that probably wouldn't have flown in like the '70s. Like as
that's
I don't
true.
know, there the art
That's
like
true.
film as a
Depends on
craft
which
was
cocaine
also
you got.
taken more seriously in the past than it is now. So there's a lot of bullshit. Like honestly, think about like CGI and how shitty it looks like in most movies, and how much you just have to look past it.
But if
It's
you
like-
look at really, really good film now, though, cats, like that's a true like evolution of what was going on, right? Like they have like all the fucking rules that they used to have back then, but they also have all these new like fucking prettiness and flow rules that they have to follow that have to go like through all.
This
of
isn't a good
production.
movie.
Like it's the really good movies.
No, we're not talking
nowadays.
about this
and even
movie
and
anymore.
even just like on like a craft level, like the fucking $1 billion Disney shit, you can see the $1 billion in it at least. Like fucking, they made it flow. It's just
If
like
this
the story
was made
stuff.
today,
I think
this
it's just
Nah.
story at the end of the day is the thing that doesn't evolve like that. Story is good or
There's
story
very
is bad.
few examples. There's very few examples, but actually, like I still think that like limitations on filmmakers is what makes like great films
It's
a
a
lot
good
of
thing.
times. So
you got to find
Yeah.
workarounds. It gives
Yeah,
you
but
some,
that's the issue is like anybody with any level of limitations now is not allowed to be advertised to the masses, especially not in the
for the
consumer
most part,
way.
Maybe that's the problem with this, because if this movie was made today, it would just be a big CGI clusterfuck.
yeah,
It would be a bloated mess. But
Yeah,
Or
and
we
like
have-
at least sure.
we got a
Brandon.
show.
as it is
though.
now, though, it's just like they didn't have to find any way to work around anything. They had all the money possible, all the people possible. They probably had like 1,000 people to fucking build sets and do all this other bullshit. So they didn't have to worry about any limitations. And that's why it's just such a boring fucking movie, because you
Yeah.
could just see that it was like each day people showed up, did their 12 to 10 hours, whatever, back then, especially for the 70s, and then went
Maybe
home,
even
and
way
nothing
more.
interesting happened.
This was you know, you're right. This was probably like back in the days like blockbuster Marvel type thing, because like Peter Fonda was a pretty big star at that time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was
yeah.
like the hype.
And isn't
Yeah.
this lady? This lady has been in something else. Wasn't she in like Network or something?
Oh, she might have been.
She
Maybe.
like as soon as like I looked at her and I thought about Network, I was like wondering. I wanted to ask you, cats, like, was she in fucking Network?
Let's see.
I think she was. I think she might. I think she was the fucking main like fucking up and coming chick in that movie. Like I think
Life Danner, Love Letter, Alice, Tomorrow Man, Light
She's the mother of Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah,
That's the mother of Gwyneth Paltrow.
that's why she looks so familiar, isn't it?
That's the
That makes
woman
a lot
who
of
let
sense.
Harvey Weinstein be her fucking godfather.
Yeah.
That's the woman who let her go hang out.
Oh,
He's down
I was all
there.
fuck for this movie. Oh.
No, she
gave
wasn't
us-
in Network though. I don't see Network on here, so nope. She was in Inside the Third Reich though.
Oh, well, that's one of my favorites.
Immediately
Oh.
after, that was her next movie after Futureworld.
She's very Third Reich looking.
And then
She is. She's very Aryan. She's
she was in
incredibly
the
Aryan.
X Files. She was in the X Files movie. What do you know?
Okay, well that doesn't help me. I haven't seen the X Files, but I've totally seen her face, and I think it was during the '70s. Not when I was alive, but like it was filmed during the '70s.
Oh,
She
That's a
doesn't
lot of
have
stuff
any other
she's been in.
'70s things that look very familiar at all, or '80s.
Yeah, maybe
She's
she's
the
got a bad case of '70s face.
She definitely does. I mean, it's Brant's probably right. It's also the Paltrow. It's the Gwyneth in there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
she's got
Gwyneth-
that
it's
goop
the
face.
Maybe that's what it is. Honestly, maybe
Yeah.
it's all
It's
that.
the
Gwyneth.
eyes.
All that
Yeah,
Gwyneth.
it's
Who was
She
like-
kind of
Gwyneth's
acts
dad?
like Gwyneth
Who was
Paltrow.
Gwyneth's dad?
Huh?
Who's Gwyneth's dad? Was he famous?
Bruce Paltrow.
Okay,
Oh, she was in Columbo.
I haven't seen.
Jackie.
I used to watch that show all the time.
76.
Oh, Bruce Paltrow was like a politician or something.
That explains why she's like all about like fucking like her fucking homeopathic Illuminati sustenance and just like fucking passing it and everybody.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I don't know. Oh wait, no, he was
What?
a filmmaker. Okay, I don't know. It was talking about like his support for Ronald Reagan, but I guess he also made some films at some point. I don't know.
Oh, okay, but he was more known as a guy who once like stood up for Reagan and said, "I'm an actor too, and I enjoy Ronald Reagan."
Yeah, he was also a rabbi
You
for a
don't know the
time.
Reagan I know. When he has a chimp in his arms, he's the sweetest guy you've ever seen.
I
They
mean,
all do.
actors probably loved
right.
Reagan at the time simply because it was like he might open up the door for like them to finally become president also. Like,
Well, that's why anybody ever hung out with Donald Trump.
That's
That's why
that was also
anybody ever
back
hung
when,
out
like,
with Joe Biden. That's why anybody ever hang out with W. That's why you hang out with the president.
true.
Because you want his job.
well, actually
No,
though,
Reagan-
but all the
Reagan
actors
was an
didn't
actor
like Trump.
first.
So,
Well, this is also back in the time when, like, if you're rich, you're just a Republican.
yeah, it's pretty funny. Like back
Well,
in
that's
the
not
day,
necessarily true because there were always those. These were boomers, Brand. Do not forget that these are
Very
boomers.
good chance.
I don't
that
know.
it-
Well, boomers are. Yeah, that's a good point with the boomers. But like, I always think of Republicans like I don't know. My grandma always just called them like the rich man's party, and like that's
Yeah, your
what all of my
allegiance.
relatives.
Yeah,
have
and
always
my
said.
fucking grandma called them like the fucking only party that was fighting for actual fucking liberty. You know, like fucking different
I bet she wasn't
perspectives,
rich.
different
Was
places,
she?
man. Fucking different attitudes.
And she wasn't very rich. I guess you're not, so probably not. I don't
Oh
know.
no, fucking bunch of poor fucking minor bastards.
Bunch of Red was just, and then your allegiance goes to whoever's money. So it's like, that man's an actor. He must know what he's doing. Happens.
Yeah.
You'd think, but the qualifications for being an actor are showing up to an audition saying, "I'm an actor."
Not everyone knows that because a lot of people are stupid. So they see someone being something else on the screen. They're like, they can do that in real life then.
Yeah.
They don't
Well, those
understand.
people aren't actors. Those people are retarded. Or
Not a lot of people are actors.
Because, like, you can just, honestly, like, go to any person who isn't that dumb and ask them to play something that they naturally know, and almost anybody who isn't stupid can play can play at least themselves, you know?
What do you mean?
Nah,
Like,
I'm
just
gonna-
act as
I'm gonna-
themselves?
It's not even. It's
That's
just
not
like there's
true,
a certain amount of
actually.
like lack of
No, it's
emotion.
tough to be natural. when
Dwayne,
got
you
a
know what's
camera in
funny
front of you.
is we had to do like a commercial, like a promo, and it was with our meteorologist, and he gets in front of a camera every single day and does his meteorologist spiel. But then we put a different camera in front of him and just get him to say like that, and then also just like say there's a casual line over to the anchor. Pretty simple. It's basically what he does every single day, and he gets like
2 hours.
tongue twisted, can't do it, and we have to like work with him for 30 minutes just to do the thing that he does every day. Like, I don't know. I think people are pretty
I'd say-
bad at it, generally.
It's weird. Yeah,
You're
some,
gonna be
some
looking-
people, but also if you're talking about news people, especially like the local news people that we're aware of, they're sleep deprived and they're fucking like high on like fucking all sorts of crack and such.
Sure.
So, like so they're barely alive, you know.
I'm just gonna say, like,
Yeah.
And if
maybe.
you don't call on them when it isn't their usual scheduled news time, then they're going to like break down on a physical level.
It's true.
They're
It's
a little
true.
tired,
I don't think it was the
so,
case with this guy, but it is true.
Oh, okay. Was this?
I'm not talking about, my current place of employment or anything.
no,
but,
nothing.
No, this was
I'm talking about a
weird
different
fact.
place of
This was
employment.
weird
But
fact.
this place of employment did fire a producer for getting drunk and sleeping underneath the desk. And I thought that was pretty funny. Like, honestly, that seemed like, I thought, responsible behavior. He didn't drive home. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's called him caring about his job because he wanted to wake up underneath the desk and keep doing his
Ready
job.
for the new day.
yeah. But that's why I
That's
left
called
that
caring
job and got
about
my new
this.
job.
That's called caring about the company.
Yeah.
Chances
values.
of finding a good actor on the streets, though, Dwayne, is about the same, probably the exact same statistics as finding a gay person in the wild.
Not true, Brant. Not
It's
true.
gonna be
If
some
you
overlap
recall,
there.
if you recall our last place of employment that we both worked at with the show of Paranormal Active, we were literally talking to producers from fucking California, and they were saying that the actors around here, the natural people you walk to on the street around here, are better at acting. Like because you're just going
I
up
don't
to
think they
people.
were
It's
being
like it's the
serious.
same thing with
That's
like
just
fucking a
something
lot
people
of indie
say,
film-
though, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's something
Well, no, it's
people
the same thing
say
with,
to
like,
gas
the-
you up.
Well, okay, yeah, valid point, valid point. But either way, though, I think it's the same kind of thing because honestly, like, if you go up to people and ask them to play something they naturally know how to do, they can do it a lot. It's the same thing with like the Florida Project and a lot of fucking like indie films and like
How much casting do they have to go through
and shit,
to get
like
those
just like
people
people who
It
walk
takes a
up
lot.
to like fucking people who are living in a certain place and give them a role that they can actually do naturally.
It takes
That's,
good direction. It takes really good
takes
direction.
direction.
It's all about the
I don't
direction
think it's
at
the
that point,
people.
which is partially what I'm saying. But that makes either way they can be a good actor. Because
Little bit of
also a
magic.
lot
Anyone
of good
can be a good actor though with a good director. I think a good director can make anyone a good actor because if you're truly horrible, if you're a truly horrible actor, a good director could still make you a good looking performance by just cutting to you for 30 seconds and that's your entire thing, and they have you say the exact thing that you should for the type of person you are, and you can make anyone
I will
look
agree
good.
with that you can make that out of a bad actor only if they're in small chunks though.
Dwayne, to totally just tear apart your entire argument there too, I saw the footage, with all the actors and what they left for the show,
tapes.
And none of it stuck, dude. There's no acting.
Yeah.
It is silhouettes.
No,
and
you don't know what you're talking about. Sir.
No, I do. There's no acting. They didn't use a single goddamn person.
Brant, the footage you're talking about was edited by a person who does not know what they're doing, because a big part of also using those actors is also knowing how to edit it. And you yourself even told me that the editing
we were there. I listened to the people give their spiels and to pour their hearts out in front of the camera. They acted so hard, and it sucked. It sucked because they were just random people on the fucking street.
Depends.
I don't know who you guys are talking about, but
you got hit snake
eyes. All I know is I have gone around running to a lot of people who are not natural actors around here and asked them to be in things. And I was on the Tinderbox, and there were all these fucking things. They were not necessarily a bunch of people who were actors, but they were able to get good performances out of them because they edited them well. Yeah. There's a lot of that's a big part of it. And fucking you even yourself said, Brant, the actors that you're talking about who were not very good actors, as you're saying, like, and maybe they very much weren't. Like you even yourself said that it was not edited properly.
No, it was edited really nice. It was it's a ghost show. How else was it going to be fucking edited except like Dutch angles, spooky shadow, door slams.
We're in the fucking weeds as shit right now.
Yeah. Do you guys have any ideas for this movie? We totally got off track, but who cares?
Mad in the weeds. Futureworld.
Mediocre movie. It actually it richly deserves its ratings that I saw. It was like 4.7, 5.2, something like that out of 10.
This is a big 4.7, 5.2 right here.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I thought they were being harsh. No.
Middle of the road.
That's why I like it. You guys hate it. What would you do better?
Good ideas, no execution, and the good ideas were inherited.
Can I just tell you my thoughts? Because I don't have like a fully fleshed out
of course you can.
Revamp of this. No, but like I have. Hey, wait, hold on. The past two ones I've written.
Oh, you have?
I've written something.
No,
so
I've
feel
gone
like
first every time, haven't I? Like recently.
Huh?
No, but Katz has actually had like stuff written down.
I don't usually have stuff. I haven't had stuff written down lately, but
like
for
the
a while.
Majority of the times that
I recently was.
Yeah, no, he was the originator of writing shit down for this. But recently he has not been a big writer downer, and I have been not necessarily a writer downer, but I have been the one who has gone first and been like,
yeah, but I have opinions on how I think this. I actually I kind of want to like remake the movie, and I don't want to change it like a whole lot necessarily. I just want to. I think the changes that I would make the movie a lot different, but it's still like not changing the structure of like the whole thing a whole lot. I don't think so.
Why wouldn't you? With such a shitty movie, fucking tear it down.
Huh?
Rip it apart.
No, yeah.
Tear the structure.
I would just like to spend more time on the good stuff in this movie. So I'd like to see it remade. We remake it in this day and age, and we call it Futureworld again, even if we want, because I think there's a lot of good story in there. So basically, I'd like to see more of the behind the scenes politician stuff, and I'd also like to see competition there. I'd like to have it actually like put some more actually good dramatic shit in there where we have the reporters, they show up and they find out that like this future world aren't the only people that are making politicians, and they're just cranking out politicians and like competing with other tech firms or whatever they are. And I want to see the behind the scenes of that. That was like the most interesting thing, and it's you only find it out at the very end. I think that should come in like second half of it, kind of.
So like when they're in the control rooms, they're like section 8, quadrant south, whatever. They're like, look at the eyes, red 40 on eyes, get that blue up. Get the quadrant over. Let's see that cheekbone. All right, let's do the articulations like that, and then like you want to see from when they're doing that to like it going and like down the line to the manufacturers. You want to like see fucking Raul like
and maybe
pounding
even
some
start
white girl together.
Exactly, and start at the beginning of the movie. Maybe start with having like a moment where maybe the reporter runs into a politician and he's like, "Man, they were kind of acting differently than they generally do." Whenever I talk to so and so. About like what's on the agenda for this week. Like they're always really, blah blah blah, and they're acting differently. Like I want to flesh. Like I think if you just fleshed out and put more thought into the stuff that's good in this movie, you could revamp it and have it like actually, you wouldn't have to change that much about it at all.
It is an objectively juicy ass premise.
Yeah,
it is.
The other thing I wanted to say. Was I want to have more on the politicians and everything like that. I also think that there should be a subplot about how they want to have people. They're getting people to volunteer to have their consciousness, like people, just not politicians, just regular people. They see it as a good thing because the way they market it. They want these people to volunteer to put their consciousness into the robot and live out the rest of their days as a robot, which kind of is like a little bit surrogates, I guess, like with the Bruce Willis movie. But I was kind of thinking about, like, how this movie... I know it's kind of a lame analogy that a lot of people would think of, but it's like, they kind of have, like, the Black Mirror kind of thing going on, where it's, like, you got the guy who's obsessed with, like, fucking a robot, and, like, the kind of parasocial kind of aspect of it, where...
It is, like, the first season of Black Mirror, pretty much, in a movie,
You could make social media, like, not that I don't want to make it explicitly, but, like, there's social media analogies and smartphone and that, just our relationship with technology, like that whole analogy was something that they didn't do very well, but it could have been done great. What?
Can I give you some fence here, some limitations on this idea?
I'm not actually coming up with an idea. I'm just saying what I think should have been better.
Just like some goalposts for you. Yeah, like a thought of like someone behind the scenes, so like assembly line worker, or like. The guys who have to like get the politicians to show up or whatever, like a story based on that, and then meeting the reporter would be so much more interesting than these shithead reporters. Like, I do want to see. You're right. I do want to see like Raul welding some white bitch together on the assembly line and going home and to his like kids and being like, just another day of fucking building sex bots for rich white people.
Well,
or whatever.
I kind of like the. I would want to lean into the incompetent report, like the incompetency of the reporters even more though. Like I could see it having different main characters than reporters, but I kind of almost like the idea of like some bumbling reporters coming into like this vast conspiracy and just fucking it up every step of the way. That could actually be the comedy.
It's what I would personally do is I would say something like this guy who builds white bitches gets moved up because like someone gets sick or something on a big order, and he notices like, this guy looks kind of familiar as he's like smacking the face onto the fucking thing and sending it out. And then later that night, he's like drinking and fucking with his buddies at the bar, and he sees like missing politician up on the board, and he's like, I just built that guy. And then he calls reporters, and it's this guy trying to like get the reporters to do their job, but they're so incompetent and bumbling, and it's just him leading them along.
I like that.
He's like,
that's how the movie starts. That's how we get our reporters like coming into the movie. Is this guy like just like dragging them into the story because he's trying to get them to do their job, and they're just kicking and screaming the entire way. Like
they're like, we can't go in there, Raul. It says employees only. He's like, because he like opens like, look, they're doing shit in there. Let's go in. It's like, we can't. Employees only. It's just
We could make it and then honestly I could fulfill the nihilistic 70s like ending that I'd want and still have that guy die, and then we could have the reporters win like whatever the reporter Nobel Peace Prize is, and they get congratulated at the end, and we can have like the sappy fucking ending, but like it's got that kind just of David Lynch like
his mangled body in the corpse.
Yeah, they're getting. It would be great if they're getting it. They're getting like the award, whatever the journalism award is from like the politician that guy worked on, You know, they're just the ones like putting the necklace on their on their shoulders and everything, and like pat them on the butt as they go down. That'd be great.
Something it's like he's still a robot, yeah, and it's just like Raul is just like in the ditch just outside the assembly building, all just crumpled up and like getting buried by a gardener who looks just like him.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, because Raul is a good worker, so.
Flesh it.
Okay, that's why I wanted to go first, actually. I just wanted to sell my ideas, and then I can think about it and not listen to Dwayne. I'm just joking.
Okay, yeah.
I am a backboard, if anything. Dwayne!
Yo.
You didn't like this movie.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
What would you do better?
Well, the main thing is like, so when I'm watching this kind of movie, I really want to know what it's like to be with the robots. I really want to know what it's like to work at this sort of corporation here. So I'm thinking, so like outside of an opening news and like testimonial marketing montage, the whole thing is going to be from the perspective of the robots. But in that opening news and testimonial montage, we see how after the Westworld phenomena, after there were so many people killed, we need a way to pivot the corporation of Westworld. And no one's going to go to it anymore in the mainstream. So we got to do what every new technology, every new genius idea comes from, and we got to go to porn. So, in my opinion, the best way to utilize an actual like live action adult theme park, which is essentially what
I knew it
is to have a sexual theme park, like fucking like everywhere you go. Like it's Westworld, but you get to live in a world that is essentially porn. Fucking if you're a lady and you just get an apartment, you sit there and you notice the plumbing's not working, a plumber comes and fucks your cunt. Like if you can just show up to fucking a school and just be
thought it was like
high school and just be a teacher, and just all of a sudden you're gonna be fucking finding some students that need the perfect grade.
I gotta stop you real quick, Dwayne, because what I was picturing was like a theme parks with like rides. And I was kind of hoping you were going that way because I want like a scene where it's like, stop riding that dick. Or get off.
Well, actually, Brant, if you'll give me a moment, I will give you a certain level of what you
push him off the ride. I love it.
So essentially, though, Brant, like because it's an immersive experience. So you're actually able to live within this highly sexually charged world where people are just banging you at every turn. There's every sort of kink around every sort of corner. The actual investor that was able to save this company was Pornhub, who has been fucking working on this for 30 years and has fucking billions of fucking watch time investment in knowing what is going to be able to inform their perfect world. So we meet a character. He's a guy who goes on a honeymoon and is experiencing every single kink on earth before marrying his Mormon wife. Fucking, we have sexy god dick robots that look like Henry Cavill. We have giant women that eat you and shit you out of their pussy. We have monsters and anime girls and furries galore. Even a fucking field of dicks and a river of cum. An ocean of gamer girl pee. Brand. Like these are all like, and you can just like you could build roller coasters within that, and you could just fucking drink down the pee. You could fucking just like badong on all the fucking sea of dicks could be within like a fucking wading pool. And essentially the way, and that's the thing that happens in all of the Westworlds and all of this shit is it's got to go tits up at some point. No pun intended. But anyway, the way that I think that fucking it's going to go tits up is that so the creatures of this world are going to get so fucking sexed out. All of these fucking, these robots are going to get so incredibly sexed out.
Tear
so
their
enjoyed.
dicks
And so they get so kinked out because there's like fucking every sort of kink on earth in this fucking Pornhub playground here. And they get so fucking sexed out that they can't even get hard for fucking humans anymore. They need to fuck robots. They start banging each other. And then eventually they start getting pregnant. They start making babies. It gets fucked up. And then people start fucking protesting in their rights to be able to be robots who are banging, only wanting to bang robots, which absolutely undermines the integrity of the company that's trying to attract human practitioners. And it goes tits up by an entirely economical way, and it becomes like a really real mecca for robot fucking. And the last of the incel dudes who really just fell in love with some robots there who don't find them attractive anymore because they're meaty ingredients, just eventually end up bombing the place. And that's the vague idea. The ending is just kind of like, you know, it's there.
You put work into which means there's logic.
But Brant though. So you know what it's called? It's called Chest World.
Oh.
I thought of that one and I didn't say it.
There though.
I that came into my head earlier and I just didn't say it because I.
And I was gonna call it Breast World, but like it's
2022.
Yeah, it's 2022. So we're just talking just chest.
Yeah.
It's done like
they have to chest feed.
Yeah, the chest world. Oh, is that a word that people say? Oh Christ.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Ejaculation Nation would have been a nice one. You could have like little subsets. The coast of oh fuck.
The coast of cum.
Coast of
Ejaculation Nation
it's just a bunch of
already,
girls
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of cum. It's just gonna be a lot of cum. It's just gonna be, and like you're from the perspective of the robots for the most part, and like fucking you're in the shoes of each fucking robot being programmed to fall in love with this guy at each fucking stage of the theme park, and just like they're all these different sexual fantasy creatures.
So is this like just hardcore pornography for the first half of the movie, and then like the rest of it is just like deep existentialism?
It's entirely up to you, sir. It's entirely up to you. Because, like, we could have full penetration or we could not have full penetration.
Could we?
Ways to film it.
The only way I'm going to feel comfortable about this idea, and you might actually not hate it, is if we're going to show the dichotomy of like this full-on, like, the worldview you have being torn asunder from you and leaving you empty and not, and full-on, like, hardcore penetration, full frontal nudity. It's got to be French. So we gotta like show some of the bad stuff at the beginning. We gotta have weird flashback sequences. We gotta have symbolism. What's this world look like? Is it just like a bunch of apartment buildings and you walk in and it's like, oh, look at this. It's a sexy or is this like a town where it's pretty autonomous, but people will just like kind of randomly pull over a girl and just start fucking them? Is it what's the connection?
The way I view it is it's like if you want to get the coins at the end of the quest, you got to play the quest.
So you
and
have
a lot
to
of those quests are pretty dumb, but and it's like literally walking into porn. You're just like, you just walk up to the door and you're like, hey, I want to adopt you. And then you show up and you're like, wow, that's a hot stepsister you have. And then you just start banging them or whatever. Like this, like it's a very vapid place, and you could just walk into whatever kink you have. So, you could even walk into straight anime world, like I'm saying, furry world, and all these fucking worlds that'll just like straight up do.
Anime and like the proportions
I don't want to
of
imagine the furry world.
Real life is
yeah, you don't want to imagine the furry world, but some people can't stop.
Furry's fine because like at least a fursuit it's got like the proportions right.
Yeah,
usually.
But we all know that furry world would just be a bunch of people with like robot animals that were like fucking them with sticks and like poles and shit like that. Though, like furry world would be fucking awful.
Anime
but it would be amazing to a lot of people. What you just explained, Cats, is probably giving like thousands of people in our -0 fucking audience boners at the moment.
I hope they all killed themselves.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, Cats, everybody who is watching this in the future to try to cancel us is probably hard as shit right now.
So
here's the
hook.
Who's the real bad guy?
Who's the real bad guy here?
Just take a long look at yourself in the mirror, guy, in 2023, whatever.
So, like in the original movie,
I think it's gonna be like 2032.
Yeah, like in Futureworld, there's a group of other robots and some people who are kind of scripting and writing the sequences that are happening. So I do want you to focus on the sex. Then I think I found where we can get a little French and weird about this. I want you to show me like the absolute like Coomer-brained, dead-eyed dude who has to sit there at the control tower and has to come up with all these fucking scenarios for these robots to play out. Because it can't all be like pre-planned each time, right? Because then it wouldn't feel like.
Well, see, that's partially why I'm saying like because At least in the way that I'm trying to evolve this is because they even have this sort of thing where, like in the first movie, at least by the way they explain it through Futureworld,
You can fuck
in the first movie, Brant, they talk about this whole thing about like how humans used to be the people who ran the robots, but then they decided to make it in this movie robots run the robots to cut out that extra element. So the way I'm saying that they solved that is now Pornhub is running it, so they have an algorithm that runs it.
Yeah.
So, but I am down to give you the Coomer Brain character, but rather make it through somebody who's like a fucking the kind of people who are on Facebook just talking about how much they love Disney and they're just fucking like talking about like the new episodes of the park. Yeah, I'm talking about from the perspective of a fan rather than from an Imagineer.
I just want that guy to show up at the very
the
least.
Pornhub commenter, the character, you've got it.
Yeah, they come to like the puppet master's place or the control room, and it's just him, and he's like chained in there. He's like, I was Pornhub's #1 user 3 years ago, and they kidnapped me. They're keeping me hostage here. And, like, he gets an electroshock, and someone's like, hey, you're not fucking this dick right now. What's going on, stepsis? And he's like, he turns back and he like controls them or whatever. He's like, get down on that dick, down dirty, like get sloppy.
See, if
for
that's
your brother.
Brant. So like, if that's a perspective you want me to go down, though, how did this guy get in this chair? Because the perspective that I am thinking is more of a guy who's like essentially a whale. He's the guy. He is the guy who runs this world.
Yeah. Be the whale. Be the whale who's just like, I love this. This is my element. This is everything I've wanted. But I want to see the Coomer. I want to see like the cages of Coomers who are like forced to be in the control room because they're the only ones whose brains are so melted by porn that they can like come up with these scenarios on the fly.
That would be a more realistic depiction of master control in this movie.
And they're all
getting master control, and it doesn't look at all like what master control actually looks like. It needs more fat people.
Bunch of dudes with like auto melters on their dicks just typing like that one thing, that fucking joke from South Park where they go to Mars.
I can see it.
Or the episode of South Park where they're playing against the absolute best World of Warcraft player and he's just like...
But they're also getting like their dicks jerked off too.
But also they're getting their dicks jerked off. We cannot forget that incredible. All right, so I'll make sure there's more Coom in the final product.
Cats, what have you sculpted for my collection today?
Yeah, well, so I have a little more of a synopsis here. So I
more like Samp Opus. Fuck you, faggot.
Yeah, good one. Loved it. So I liked the idea of the employee kind of like trying to get them to get the story, but they're too fucking dumb to do it. So I think at the beginning, we're seeing news. We're seeing like news on the television. It's like he's watching the politicians speak. They're talking about this new Futureworld thing where it's like the new safeguard to Futureworld, because they're talking about in this Futureworld how they've solved the problem of like Westworld. The Westworld incident is that like all the robots are doing the people jobs. So, but the safeguard in this movie is that everyone opts in to become a robot, and then they have their consciousness booted into a robot. So all the robots are made up of real people. So that way, the robots still have robot powers and thinking, but they also have empathy. And that's what they needed all along, or so the story goes. Everyone has to opt in to become the robot. So it's like a co-op. It's a robo co-op, and everyone's chipping in, and that's their workaround for it. But it's actually just a way to get everyone to become robots. So, and the politicians are very in favor of this, and we don't know why at first, but it's because they're also robots. Employee of the company, tries to break the story to our main character, Chuck, and is quickly killed. But Chuck doesn't really make much of it. He's not too interested. He just takes his watch after the guy is killed and goes, okay, well, I guess no story. Puts the watch on, goes and walks away. And then
he has to like pat him down too, and like get like his security card and shit too.
He just that would be too much foresight. That would be too much foresight to get the security card. He just takes the watch, I think. Like maybe a little bit of cash. You know,
he looks directly at the security card, like clipped on his thing,
yeah,
and like he reaches for it, and like you think, but then he just like goes through the pants and takes out the wallet, and it's like $60. Hell yeah.
Yeah, or he grabs the wallet and he sees all this like confidential info. He's like, you know, it's like security card. It's like photographs that look like compromising things. And he goes and grabs just the $5 bill and throws the wallet on the ground. Yeah.
Just tosses it in the incinerator, like just throws it into an open furnace behind him that just suddenly is there.
But it's important because he puts the watch on. So then him and what's her name get invited to the Futureworld like opening. And
the Sex and Space world.
Yeah, the Sex and Space. And Harry, our employee, who I would like to introduce earlier on, notices that he has the watch on. He sees that, like, he's like, oh, you have the watch of my coworker. Now I don't know where he is, and he's trying to get them. He's like, there's a lot of crazy shit going on at this park. You really need to like bust this story wide open, like blah blah blah. And Chuck's just like, no, that sounds gay. Like I don't want to do that. We're getting like free meals here. I want to go on the tour. You know, the chick is you know, she's doesn't even want to talk to Harry. She thinks he's gross. Nobody wants to talk to this guy, but he's just hounding them. He's trying to get the story. So our reporters though are enamored by the festivities. They love Futureworld. They're having a great time. Harry isn't really like convincing them at all until
they're like every no kid couple you see at Disney World who's just like, even though it's their 10th time there, they're like, ooh,
yeah, and they're stuffing their face. They're like, oh my gosh, you just can't get the ice cream. The ice cream here is like none other. I don't know what they put in it. I don't know what they put in the ice cream here. The soda's here just so much better. Yeah.
You know, like you pan out a little bit, like, you know, like pouring like mind control serum. Like,
yeah. There's a dumping that they're putting the gay frogs in the water. They're doing everything they can. So then though we have a change of tide when the other company. So like I said, there's rival companies. There's Futureworld, and then there's let's just call it, you know, like what's a synonym of future? Like
Six Flags.
Centurium World.
Oh yeah, Centurium or
Centurion's a fucking Roman.
Century Park, Centurium Park.
Century Park's a good one.
Century Park. There you go. I love it. Century Park reaches out to them and they say, hey, you know, we're trying to do the same exact thing, but we're doing it safer. And we can offer you a better deal. We can give you exclusive rights to the story, and we can offer you're going to get the Nobel Peace Prize if you report on this story. All you have to do, you can bust, and you know we know that you're getting a story. We've been surveilling you. You can bust this story wide open, but you're only talking about Futureworld. Futureworld is the only thing that's good. They're the only ones that are planting politicians. You know, and like putting robot politicians out there and actually stripping away people's rights by having them become robots. This whole time,
like he's been getting trailed by like a spy type, like black suit, glasses.
Yeah,
like,
set it up early.
Like he's uncovering everything. He knows too much.
But this is their ultimatum. He's actually
throws the dossier down as like they're stuffing their face with like ice cream and corn dogs. I'm gonna go on the ride next. He's like, I know you know everything. I'm here on behalf of Century Park. And he sits down and has a gun underneath the table and says, you're going to listen to what I got to say.
Yeah.
And they're totally oblivious the whole time. They're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, I don't even think he'd have to be mean. He would just be like, we have a great opportunity for you. Like, you're gonna love this. You're going to love it.
Can I buy you a corn dog, sir? And while I talk to you about my proposal. He's
like, he just like doesn't even, he just has the corn dog ready. He just like shoves it right down his throat and he's already loving it.
Just keep handing to him as he's talking.
Yeah, I like the idea. Yeah, this guy, like they should be getting tracked early on, and we think that it's actually Futureworld, and we think that like they're gonna run into trouble. Like this guy's finding out everything, but actually he's just the rival spy, and this is actually the best opportunity for them. You know,
right? Like the agent, the guy from Century Park was the one who killed the original handyman, who he got the watch from or whatever.
Maybe.
So it all kind of like comes together like you had like the dossier and he lost it because the guy was like, hey, you're not supposed to be here, and
yeah,
he kind of
something like that.
hiding his like, and then that's why he thinks he knows everything because he thinks he took it all, but he actually just threw it in the fucking furnace.
Oh, okay. So he thinks that he's a dangerous. They think they're actually dangerous. Like, you know, they might actually
Like they know
bust the
everything,
story.
and they're just being coy, and it's like they're so above us. They must know we're watching because they're not doing anything.
That's why
they
cut them the deal.
Park guests.
Yeah, so they cut them the deal. Then they get the best deal of a lifetime. They just have to sell out Futureworld, and they have to sell out Harry. Harry is cut by the wayside. He's actually like he's too much of a compromise. They just can't. He knows too much. They want the dumb reporters. You know, they don't know how much they know, but they're like, you guys can't know everything, so you're safe enough to keep alive. Harry's got to die though. So Harry dies. Harry gets killed execution style, and they put Clark down.
And Clark
like a dog.
watches the whole thing.
Yeah, and then Clark has to watch from the corner, and then they go and put him down. They shut him down. He tries to defend, but like his arm with like the bad wiring, you know, like malfunctions, you know, and he's just forced to like be paralyzed there as he watches Harry die.
And the guy's like, he doesn't have eyes. Don't worry about it. It's just...
No, they just actually they don't even put him down. Like he malfunctions, and then they just put like a sheet over his head, and they just leave him there. And he's stuck looking at a sheet for the rest of his existence.
They could just like program some like Abraham Lincoln at Disney World shit, just where he just like stands there. He's like, I created the
yeah. Or they press a button. Yeah, they press the button that just turns him in, like goes full on Abraham Lincoln mode. Yeah.
Factory reset, and they like wheel him out to the Hall of Presidents. He's just there, like totally aware the whole time. Can't say anything. That's fucked up.
Yeah, and he has to get shot in a theater every night, and it makes him relive the moment where he died.
Yeah, it just triggers him, and they're like, we have to reprogram him every
getting
night
shot.
He just has
just
like
an endless
sweating.
hell, fucking Sisyphusian nightmare.
As the bolt like hits the back of his head, he suddenly sees Harry in front of him, like getting shot too, as like the bolt comes out of his face.
That could be I would want to linger on, like, as I think Clark was, like, they even made Clark's story so tragic in Futureworld. I want to make it even more tragic. It's very sad.
The shitty side characters.
Honestly, the whole movie should have been about Clark.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
So, but Clark, this movie's not all about Clark. We have our sad scene, and that's over with. Now it's time for our reporters to win the Nobel Peace Prize. They walk down the aisle. They get the pats on the backs by all the robot politicians, and they get the necklaces put down, and we basically have like a New Hope. You know, it's the ending of A New Hope where they all just are standing on the pedestals.
Is Chewie gonna get a medal? That's all I care about.
No,
Chewie's Harry. Medal?
Harry's basically Chewie, and he's dead. Chewie got shot.
No, Tracy's Chewie.
Tracy's Chewie?
Yeah, she's Chewie.
Okay,
like
she's just sitting there going,
But she's a woman. She's not allowed to have a medal. She gets no congressional awards. Because she's just old.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, because this movie is very dumb. And I think like the worst light we could possibly paint these reporters in, the better. I think they should work for. We'll have them work for like NNN or something like that.
We'll just have Project Veritas come in and just destroy them at some point. Just like have them like saying like, "Oh, Futureworld is gonna make it so like all the women can have abortions."
I want them to say like, "Oh, we have some really good plans. We're working on a Trump robot." And then that's how the movie ends.
All right, so it's the Lincoln Project.
Yeah, and then the other ones go, well, he better be good. I hear they're working on a good Hillary robot over at
and then we just have 2016 flags for the rest of our lives. Yeah. Just as God intended.
It's 2015 on the calendar.
Yeah, there you go.
Turn back the doomsday clock.
I like it. This seems like a fun, goofy, and a movie that takes the dumb fuck premise of this just as seriously as it should be taken.
I want it to be comedic, but I also like the nihilistic and just like depressing aspects of it. I do want to be pretty strong as well.
It was fucked up.
Yeah, it needs to have its moments of like fucked upness.
The whole shit with Harry and Clark and like how he's just open, like, yeah, these robots feel. They have emotions and personalities, and people just use them for sex or like to discard them and break them. It's horrible.
Yeah, or punch them or beat it, like stab them with swords and shit like that. Yeah.
The reporters are just like, "Wow, that's crazy.
That's wild.
Let's go see something else. Let's go see something cool."
Can I? How hard could I punch that one in the face? Would I break my hand? Let's try it.
They go back to box right after.
I want to try that boxing machine over there. Yeah.
Dwayne, what have you? Good zoom tight. One more. Usually comes with 3s.
Yeah, always
There
said
you go. Get it out.
All right, so okay. Oh boy, oh boy. Did you know that sneezing? I was once told is 1/8 of an orgasm. So I nearly got halfway to coming there, boys.
That's why it's called
and
the
my mom sneezes a lot.
My dad sneezes 5 times in a row on regular. Like that guy, that's why he's so calm all the time.
You should call CPS, cats.
I don't know how true that is, but I do sneeze every time I come. So.
Did you guys ever see Orgasmo? You guys ever seen that movie?
I feel like I fucking have.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Yeah.
Original.
Yeah.
No, I have not seen that one.
It's the one where he just makes people have orgasms. It's different, but he has that gun that makes people have orgasms on the spot.
Yeah, I think that was either pre or like fucking during like the time where South Park had not been acknowledged.
It's interesting. The movie got an NC-17 rating, and it only shows nudity in one scene. It's pretty funny.
There's a documentary about South Park, and those dudes talk about like the fact that was NC-17, and then like the rest of their shit. Like it was kind of
Basketball is like rated R. I think that has a lot of dick in it too, or something.
Well,
and then like
South Park's a cartoon, but still, like nowadays, the South Park movie is pretty crude.
Back in the day.
Basketball's a good movie too. I like Matt Stone, Trey Parker.
Or Cannibal. I love Cannibal too. That's a good one.
Cannibal the musical.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay.
What have you done, Dwayne?
All right. Okay, Brant, do you want my idea here?
Yeah, real quick before we get sidetracked again.
Okay, so we were talking about the Chest World and their sexual control over the entire world. And we'll see. You wanted more Coomers. You wanted to show the Coomer alliance within this universe. And so, firstly, like I want to remind
just
you,
a little
in this like sea of cum and forest of dicks that you can wade through, within all the fucking
rivers of piss,
FTMs with clits the size of cows, and like all sorts of wonderful things you can get here. They're amazing. There are amazing sexual pleasures you can get here. But then, of course, at that point where shit snaps, like you got your sexy god dick Henry Cavill robots that turn their 3-foot peens into weapons against people. And then eventually, like, so this entire thing, as you were looking for the people who actually run this sexual enterprise. So yes, Pornhub's algorithms run the whole thing, but there's one Coomer that is plugged into all of the systems, and he is known as the approver, and he knows where the good porn is. He knows what is the thumbs up and what is the thumbs down.
Where they got the twins in the tub that like do Minority Report. So he's Minority Report.
Yes, but this is just like it's more like it's just this one man who's just splayed out like a god with the most rolls you could ever find, and like mouses on each hand with fucking 7 buttons each. And just like fucking all of his titties have their own mouse. He's got so many buttons accessed. But at the end of the day, he is just this plugged-in Coomer who has all of the control over this world. And all he is doing, essentially, is he is watching. And he is knowing what people come to. He watches the comes. He understands the comes. He is the Coomer. He is the Coomer. He is the approver.
I know.
He is
like, he looks at them like they walk in. He's like, I know you.
Well, he just with his million mice, he just fucking lights up a door, and it just leads him to his cooms. And then everyone who comes in can be the Coomer, but not everybody is able to do that. But there are the Coomer whales. Those are the people who spend like $400 on Fortnite. Those are the people that they're actually trying to make it so that they can float the business. And the Coomer whales are the people who are actually spared during the Chest World revolution, when they take out all the people with their 30-foot dicks, as they are trying to realize that they only want to fuck robots. And the only people who are left working at this giant theme park corporation are a bunch of fucking like super liberal folk who are super into the idea of like, oh, okay, like they're robots, they have their robosexuality, we cannot get in the way of their robosexuality. So the robots are having this, and this isn't a major theme, this is just an underlying theme.
No, I'm just wondering if like the child sex bots come up at any point.
Well, see, that's what happens. That is what happens near the end.
God damn it!
It wasn't intentional, but like I'm willing to add that into there because that actually makes sense. Because as all of the people are just like being like, okay, hey, all of you Coomers who are trying to take over all of the sexual robots that you've been slaving over, they have their own sexual rights and sexual desires. They want to bang other robots, and it's wrong of you to try to make them take physical matter when they would rather have physically designed, human designed matter. And so they're just all about jamming that, and then at the end of it all, like eventually, like as it starts to split off from all of that, there becomes all the politics that come into it, and they eventually split off into their own society. This theme park just rises up from the ground and just rises up into their own fucking area. Call it kind of like a mixture between like BioShock Infinite and Her. And they just leave the natural humankind because they're not sexually attracted to them anymore, and all they are is sexual beings. And then from then on, every couple of weeks, a bunch of cum rains from the sky, and we remember the people, the creatures that we created.
And the name of this island that they find themselves on? Little St. James Island.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
that's right. Wow. The whole time. The director of the park the whole time was Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, is that
and the man?
Okay.
Oh, and Brant, I also want to bring in like the Coomer. The Coomer is actually like near the right before like there's this grand separation between the robots leaving our land because they would rather just coom among their robot bodies. Before that, there is like an attempt by the Coomers to try to like save humankind by bombing that land, and the fucking I wrote it on my hand.
What happens to the Great Coomer?
Yeah, the Great Coomer was the leader of like at the last point he unchains himself from all of the plugins, and he is trying to destroy. He's trying to destroy it right before they rise up, but he walks up to it and he sees all of his Coomer brothers seeing their sex tapes leaked across the nation. All of their sexual things sent directly to their moms, directly to their landlords.
There should be a spot
directly to their bosses.
There should be a parallel to him, like, you know, it's like he's got to wipe the hard drive. It's like I got to delete some files off.
No, he's trying to wipe the hard drives, and at that point, that's when the robots come in and they just jerk off on his face, and they're like, "You think that you could fucking stop us?" And then they stop the ability to do it. And then the Coomer drowns in the coom.
I thought they would like make him come to death or something. Where it's like, you think you could?
Like
yes, no. They grab him by
his
dick.
Like it's really dumb, but like it's
Coomer
kind of
actually
fitting.
has so much built up strength from not moving for years, so he's trying to fight them back. But as they grab him by his peen, he finally feels the warm touch of a woman's hand for the first time in his life, even if it is robotic. They jerk him so much, and they bring him to the Coom River, and he cooms as hard as he can as he drowns.
Wait, Dwayne, Dwayne, what about this? What if instead of drowning, what if they make him coom so hard that all of his bodily fluids come out of his dick and he shrivels up like a raisin? They just make him coom to death.
I like that more.
It goes from like a couple like hearty ropes of nut to like just like his actual fat and blood.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
It just starts out white and then it becomes red and then it becomes like this yellow fucking viscous fluid.
You live by the coom, you die by the coom.
Live by the coom, and then he's just basically just a fucking like what are they called? Falafels? Loofah. He's basically just a loofah at that.
See, that's also that's still somebody's fetish. That's the funniest part. Is like
guaranteed, and that's why this movie is gonna make a bunch of money as much as the Coom World would.
The Great Coomer, I imagine, is like anime and hentai artists. You know, like.
Yes.
Like, he's somebody who knows how, like, I've always thought, like, when you actually think about, like, hentai stuff, you imagine a big, gigantic, fat guy drawing something for other big, gigantic, fat guys to jerk off to.
But if you're actually jerking off to it, though, you picture a hot girl doing it.
No, but it's a very strange, mutually shared, sick fantasy, generally, though. Like, it's pretty funny. Like, I feel like that's the Great Coomer.
And is that part of where the coming comes from? Is from, like, appreciating the sick fantasy? Or is it coming from the imagery itself.
Well, I think it's coming from it's the shared fantasy, because nothing about that fantasy exists in real life. It's just this shared illusion that that they have in their head.
That's why I don't watch hentai. I just read the doujins and all that noise.
Anime, hentai, it's all the same, Brent. That's all the same shit.
Not. There's the big titty gals. There is one. Fuck, I forget, but there's like one chick who draws like the porn comics, and she's like a busty ass MILF.
Oh, really?
That sounds like a lot of the people who draw the porn comics.
A busty ass MILF?
I mean, like the Japanese
one.
Yeah,
a lot
like
of people who draw porn comics probably look like Robert Crumb.
In America,
it's half Robert
Japan,
Crumb and half
like
busty MILFs.
Apparently.
What busty MILFs do you see that draw porn comics? I don't know any.
Japanese ones.
Well, I don't pay attention to those ones, I guess. But Dwayne doesn't either. He's speaking from some kind of experience, it sounds like.
Like 4 years ago, like someone went to like one of the fucking anime conventions, and like she was selling her fucking her doujin, her porn comics, and it's like she had a giant rack and was like signing off, like, yeah, that's me, and like
that's
look
really
at the
cool.
Yeah, you could tell
my
like
opinion on it.
Comics,
and then you could tell like she used like her own figure to like do a lot of, like the sketching of like some of the characters, because it's like that's
and like Robert Crumb's wife is like she looks like a Robert Crumb woman. She's a big, tall Amazonian woman, and she draws cartoons that are like pretty fucked up about like her getting like face fucked by like gigantic cocks and stuff like that. So like
Cats. What? Brand just asked who is Robert Crumb.
He did Fritz the Cat. It took me a second to remember that.
He was in the 70s. He was like an underground 70s cartoonist.
He did like he started a lot of like the talking animal trend shit. The thing though is
furries. He started the furries with Fritz the Cat. Like the furry.
He really did. That's what I'm saying. Like the
furries
talking
really started with Rescue Rangers.
Silly animals
down the rabbit.
But
when
Robert
did that come
Crumb.
out? I feel like we've talked about this, but when did that come out?
80s.
No, then Fritz the Cat Beats It. That was 70s.
So, but like it was the first like major fan craze around like furry animals.
I watched that down the rabbit hole, and I'm pretty sure he says like Fritz the Cat was a big thing too.
Yeah, it's like around Fritz.
And then
Fritz.
You're probably
it's like it's comics that are called like silly animals.
That was pre-internet.
Oh, it's funny comic. But here's my point. Robert Crumb. He looks like how he draws.
Yeah.
So like you take that idea to like hentai though, and that's why Japanese people aren't people. Because you look at that shit, those proportions aren't human. Eyes are not this fucking big. Mouths are not this small.
No, Brent, you're wrong on that. Because like the cool thing about the Japanese people is they were just like fucking bred on this small island, just fucking as their own fucking people.
I wouldn't say that's true either, Brant. I wouldn't say that's true, because American cartoonists have a very crazy... Robert Crumb has a specific style that's actually lifelike, but then you look at like Ralph Steadman or like S. Clay Wilson. I don't know. Like you look at all the 70s, a lot of other 70s illustrators, and they have like big old bug eyes and crazy distorted.
Yeah, that was more of like just like kind of because it's all riding on a wave of the time. A lot of art is just riding on a wave of the time, and whoever the coolest motherfucker was at that time. One of 10 coolest motherfuckers.
Well, the Japanese are weird though. They have a weird thing.
Yeah, no, the Japanese specific. That's why I like fucking because like even historically, the Japanese for like fucking thousands of years were like a very fucking like particularly isolated and particular culture.
Yeah,
they got their own shit going on.
They got some interesting stuff there.
Before we get too off track again, I like your idea a lot, Cats, and I think it really speaks to me. It's true. That's just like you basically just did what I would have done, my style to a bit. That might have been because I injected a little bit of myself in there too, here and then.
You got you got some subplots in there.
But Dwayne's right. His would be to a degree a much more successful and kind of probably more impactful one currently, seen as a lot of all this stuff about Roe versus Wade and what will be coming next in our new Handmaiden Tales Futureworld.
Fuck you. You can't use Roe v. Wade to get Dwayne's idea like relevant.
Yes,
I was using social media relevancy.
Like, Dwayne would have his would have been like the real. If this was like a real thing, and I probably would have went for Dwayne. But yeah,
Cats, I forgot. Brad likes tits.
I like tits, but I also like deep, dark like esoteric bullshit. I like despair. And I like when my heroes go through a very tough time.
And your hero is the Coomer?
My hero is the Coomer. The way you described him dying is how I want to go out.
That's how we want. Fuck that, dude. Fuck that, dude.
I just like the visual of him.
Brant identified with the Coomer. You wrote Brant into the story. It's not fair.
I didn't mean to write Brant into the story. I just could feel the vibes that he wanted to project onto the world.
Here's the thing.
Brant isn't the Coomer, but Brant's
every
idea.
Brant movie, I'm just gonna write a big gigantic Coomer into it, and then I'm gonna get my reward.
Basically, like the king from the lizard dude from Dune, the big king dude from Dune. That is the Coomer.
Or like what's the guy from Hellraiser that has the goggles?
Being able to levitate through pure coom.
It's the Cronenberg shit, guys. I love fucking. Remember the melt? Remember the fucking Australian where everyone was fucking melting? That shit's awesome. Yeah. I love Cronenberg.
Body melt. Yeah, body melt.
Body melt. So the idea of like a big fat dude just cutting his entire body out until he's just a skeleton and like this.
That's not fair because that was my idea. God damn it! I made that.
You should have given it to him.
This is my fucking idea. To him. This is bullshit.
All right, so
this is bullshit.
I'm gonna share my screen.
This is my last podcast. I'm quitting. Before Brant can quit.
That was the end. That was the final. Well,
Brant wants to quit, so I'm gonna. I have to. I don't want to be the second one to quit.
I just want to revitalize. But hey, I'm sharing my screen. We're writing a review real quick. Dwayne, you are the winner, so I want you to give me a good hunk of chunk here. What did you think of Futureworld? What do you want me to write down for bad?
Well, like, the fucking bullshit that I kept saying was just, like, fucking... There's not enough, like, focusing on, like, if you're gonna build on a foundation of, like, these deep, fucking, like, experiential of robots bullshits, then you should fucking, like, at least show what it's like to be the robots.
The robots.
Brant, how does something proudly happen?
Because it seems to take pride in the fact that nothing happens. It's proudly nothing happens in this movie because it makes no effort to make anything happen.
Oh, okay. So they're proud about how much nothing happens.
It seems like that, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I think they're just like they just don't give a shit, honestly. This was like some writer hit. Actually, no. The writer could have like made a much better script that had all the elements more fleshed out, and then they butchered it, when making the movie. So
the entire angle of making the sequel was just on making it it was very surface level. It wasn't trying to expand any of the themes or anything. It wasn't trying to expand any of the ideas on like the robots rebelling or anything. Like it was just like it did the whole thing with like trying to imprint actual humans onto robot bodies.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it wasn't actually trying to expand on anything that was there.
Just a boring movie.
It was big old fucking piece of gay shit. That's the final note, Brandon.
Someday we'll have Westworld on the show, maybe.
What's the closer, Cats? Give me a quick closer.
It was a big old piece of gay shit.
Yeah, more Futureworld, more like Putrid World. Am I right?
There you go. That's comedy right there. That's comedy.
All right. Love it.
So we're giving it 2.5. That's fair. Yeah, I'd say that's good.
I think that's fair.
I noticed we're doing it on Letterboxd. We're not
a 2.5 out of what?
5.
5.
Not 4.
I'd give it a 2.
A 2?
Yeah, 2. I had fun.
Yeah. I noticed we're doing it on Letterboxd though. We're not doing these on IMDb. We're not good enough?
We could put them on IMDb. It was just a lot easier to make a Letterboxd real quick.
I don't even know what that is. What is Letterboxd?
Letterboxd is like Facebook for jackasses that watch movies.
Oh, okay.
So you just leave your look at all these people who are watching Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. Oh,
The Shining.
Marvel.
365 days this day. That sounds. It's a terrible title. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What's who fucking is it? Dwayne?
It's Dwayne, right?
Yeah, it is, and I don't have a movie, so I'm just trying to think of something.
You fucker.
You want you know what?
I watch so many more shows than I do movies.
Next, I was gonna pick Species 2.
Nice.
So you want to pick that? That's
Okay, well, all right. So here's what we can do. So, all right. So, do you want the modern one or the old one?
Old.
Fuck. Give me a coin. I'd rather flip it. Honestly, I don't want any decision being on us.
Old is gonna be more
I'd rather
entertaining.
just have a day to think about it because I was thinking more about having to do this. I forgot I had to do this. I forgot I had this movie.
Heads, we do the old one. Tails, we do the new one. Yeah.
Sure.
It's heads.
Damn it.
Fuck.
Or wait, did you say heads the old one? No, never
It's
mind.
the old one.
No,
Forget.
never
Well,
mind.
the
I'm
old
rejoicing.
one is just fucking. I don't know if there's some place to watch it though.
What are you talking about? Are you talking?
Just because people like Back to the Future, we're just gonna do Back to the Future, I guess.
Oh, which one?
I don't know where to watch it though. Like I have a DVD of it. Maybe we should just watch it this weekend.
What was the new one then?
I didn't have fucking. I was just looking on Amazon. Flight.
Oh.
There's a new Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
No. It's either Back to the Future or Flight.
The not Nicolas Cage, Denzel Washington movie.
Yeah.
I heard that was good.
That's a good movie.
We'll see what it is. We'll see what it is. Well, we'll give you some time to think, but possible.
Yeah, no. If you give me some time.
Back
to
to
think,
the Future is on. Back to the
movie.
Future is on YouTube.
Yeah, well, for free.
I believe so.
With ads.
Well, because you have fucking YouTube Premium, cats.
No, I'm watching this on the Bad Circle account, so it's not my account.
Wait, Back to the Future is just sitting on YouTube?
Yeah, they buy stuff randomly. You can just
Hold
watch
on.
ads.
You might have to buy this, actually.
Back to the Future is one of the greatest movies ever. Let's just do Back to the Future. Fuck it.
No, I think you have to buy it. Never mind. I thought it was...
So,
Yeah, you have to buy it.
exciting times. We'll know. Perhaps it's a
Yeah, we'll
Nicolas
find
Cage
out.
movie, a fan favorite. Everyone loves Nicolas Cage.
It's
We'll
either
see
going
what
to
it
be
is.
Back to the Future or Flight.
$15.
This was Futureworld. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, that's Future.
Good job.
Hey.
So what do you guys think about abortion?
As long as I can eat it at the end.
You just had to get it in there. I think people shouldn't want to get abortions.
Abortion? Why not more abortion?
I'm making this straight now. Get us out of here.